Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we continue reading today from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 5, text 26. Is Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvana Vartate Viditatmanam Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam Brahmanoda Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Yata Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam. Somebody else? Okay. Word for word translation. Kama, from desires. Krodha, and anger. Vimuktanam, of those who are liberated. Yatinam, of the saintly persons. Yata Chetasam, who have full control over the mind. Abhita, assured in the near future. Brahma Nirvana, liberation in the Supreme. Bhartate is there. Vidita Atmanam, of those who are self-realized. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Purport. Of the saintly persons who are constantly engaged in striving towards salvation, one who is in Krishna consciousness is the best of all. The Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text 39 confirms this fact as follows. Yat pada pankaja palasa bilasa bhaktya karma sayang gratitam udgratyam tisanta tadvang naritamatayo yatayo pirudha Shruto ganastam maranam bhaja vasudevam. Quote, just try to worship in devotional service Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even great sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged in the transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, uprooting the deep-grown desire for fruitive activities. Unquote. In the condition so, the desire to enjoy the fruitive results of work is so deep-rooted that it is very difficult even for the great sages to control such desires, despite great endeavors. A devotee of the Lord, constantly engaged in devotional service and Krishna consciousness, perfect in self-realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. Owing to his complete knowledge and self-realization, he always remains in trance. To cite an analogous example of this, Darsana jana samparsair matsya kurma bihangama swani apatyani pusnanti tatahang api padmaja. Quote, by vision, by meditation, and by touch only do the fish, the tortoise, and the birds maintain their offspring. Similarly, do I also, O Padmaja. Unquote. The fish brings up its offspring simply by looking at them. The tortoise brings up its offspring simply by meditation. The eggs of the tortoise are laid on land, and the tortoise meditates on the eggs while in the water. Similarly, the devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate himself to that abode simply by thinking of Him constantly, by engaging in Krishna consciousness. He does not feel the pangs of material miseries. This state of life is called Brahma Nirvana, or the absence of material miseries, due to being constantly immersed in the Supreme. Thus ends the purport of the 5th chapter, text 26 of Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Salakaya Chakshuro Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Pada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Litam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deham Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakambitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Taruvyascha Vipasindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Such a wonderful verse. Lord Krishna giving us assurance that in the near future, those who are constantly endeavoring for perfection, those whose minds are fully controlled, those who doesn't have any material desires, free from anger, any material desires at all, even desire for a gulab jamun, will soon go back to Godhead in the near future. Lord Krishna giving assurance to Arjuna. Here, the culmination, kama means from desires. Culmination, kama also means lust, lusty desires, which means culmination means the attraction for the opposite sex. But every desire is considered as kama. Desire for woman, money, prestige, position, opulence. To be having material desires is natural. To have no material desires is unnatural, because this is very rare. Not everyone is free from material desires. Even an ant has so much material desire for the sweets. And in human form of life, where the consciousness is so fully developed, the desire is practically unlimited, but it is also inclusive only up to 8,400,000 desires. That's why there are 8,400,000 species of life. According to one's desire, then one acquires a certain body specifically to fulfill that desire accordingly. So there are many species of life, starting from aquatics, reptiles, insects, birds, mammals, plants, trees, birds, and human form of life. And in this human form of life, one is given a chance somehow again to fully revive one's Krishna consciousness, because that is our original consciousness. In the contaminated state, we are conscious besides Krishna. We are conscious bodily, mentally, physically, intellectually. So it is not so close. It is very far to attain this Krishna consciousness, but at the same time, one who controls this, it says here, one who controls the desire, the anger, then the future, in the near future, one is assured to attain liberation, even though it's very far. It's like we are in Vrindavan, we are right here in the most sacred place in the entire universe. And still some are so far away. Physically one may be in Vrindavan, but if one entertains the desire for material things, is not, or she will not be able to really be in Vrindavan, situated in Vrindavan. He is so close to where the goal is, but at the same time one can be very far from where he or she is situated, depending on one's desire. So the first duty of a person who is eager to go back home, back to Godhead, is to control one's mind. That is the foremost duty, because the mind is the center of all the senses. The mind is the one that makes plan how the senses will fulfill the enjoyment of the sense objects. So the mind must be tamed. The mind at the moment is like a wild animal, goes here and there, making many plans in order to fulfill these different material desires. Now, when one is not able to fulfill these desires, one becomes angry. It says here, anger, krodha. We've seen that, we gave that example many times, and you observe this, that when a child not able to get what he wants, then he cries. He'll be in tantrum, right? He'll do many things. He'll even cry, fake cry, crocodile tears, just to get what he wants from the parents. Of course, the parents, sometimes they spoil the child, so immediately will give whatever the child will want, and this will be the cause where the desire or the want of the child increases more and more. So anger is there. Material anger, there are two kinds of anger, material anger and spiritual anger. A materialist becomes angry because not able to get the desire, the material desires, fulfill the material desires. Now, anger is there also in spiritual platform. Hanuman showed anger also by burning Lanka, by defending his master, Lord Ramachandra. The spiritual master may also become angry to the disciple for the disciple's purification. Real spiritual master will get angry if he sees that the disciple is not following according to his instruction. He will chastise the disciple. Now, not a real guru A pretender guru will not chastise the disciple because he is afraid that his sense enjoyment also will not become fulfilled by the disciple. Anger is there also when we see a Vaishnava being blasphemed, or the Supreme Lord is being blasphemed. For the devotee himself, he does not become angry if he is being insulted. He does not take any offense. He thinks that he is due to receive this due to his past, previous activities. The sufferings and the miseries that he is acquiring or he is experiencing at the moment is due to his past. And if somebody ridiculed him, he takes it as will of the providence. There's a story in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this Avanti Brahmana who became distasteful about family life. He gave it up and he became like a renounced person, a sannyasi, gave up everything, all the possessions, and actually he did it without hesitation, not artificially, not forcefully, that he was situated in the topmost level of spiritual realization. He became oblivious of his surroundings or even his physical body. That foolish people ridiculed him and thinking that he is just a hypocrite, not real, not genuine. So they will pass urine in his foodstuff. They will pass stool around him. They will shout at him. They will laugh at him. But he never took it as this is like a punishment or something like he didn't take it as he didn't retaliate to them. He thought that actually he is due to receive this because of what he did in the past as well. So considerably all these different things that others are doing to him, he took it for granted. He didn't take it so seriously because he is fixed. His mind is fixed on the absolute truth. Just like the arrow maker sharpening the arrow, the king is passing by and he didn't notice that the king is passing by. He still continued sharpening the arrow. Yes. The point of the arrow is where he's fixed his mind. If a king, if a very superior person pass by and you don't salute or you don't stand up, this is the proper etiquette, then it's considered as not proper. But for this arrow maker, no. So the process of self-realization, understanding who we are, understanding who is the Supreme Lord, our relationship. Actually, we only have one relationship. Everything else is temporary and not real. Sambandha. We only have one relationship, and that is with Krishna. Everything else may be there, but it's temporary. It is not eternal. And this is the purpose of this human form of life, to somehow revive our, Prabhupada says, our forgotten relationship. We have forgotten this relationship. It was there in the beginning and it's always going to be there. It's not going to get lost, but it comes covered up due to becoming contaminated by the material energy, namely the three modes of material energy. So the saintly persons who are constantly engaged in striving towards the getting out of this material world, this is the position whereby we should be striving for, because this is the best of all. It says here, one who's in Krishna consciousness is the best of all. So it is not that material desires is this qualification for us to continue on in Krishna consciousness. People may say that, oh, I've been trying, or some devotees, they've been trying to perform devotional service, but still they're being bombarded by material desires. What to do? It says in the Shastras that you should not give up, even though material desires are there. One should continue on. And even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, we mentioned this also earlier, that when one chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, material desires may still there, lingers on, but one should not entertain the material desires. One should not cling on them and hoping that, yes, I would like to fulfill this material desire in spite of chanting. Then that is one of the offenses in chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says one will not make any advancement in this way. And so much so that if one wants to fulfill one's material desires while executing devotional service, then material desires may overcome the practice of performing devotional service, that eventually that the practitioner or the sadhaka will give up eventually the practice of devotional service. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that one should eager to give it up. The material desires should be willing to give it up. That is the problem. Prabhupada gave an example. It's like a man who is embracing a tree. He's embracing the tree and he says, oh, please help me get out of this tree. But he's embracing the tree. So there's a struggle. And the man will not get out of the tree because he's willing to still embrace the tree. So if one has material desires and at the same time would like to fulfill these material desires, then one will not be able to go further in Krishna consciousness. If, however, on the other hand, one is willing to give it up in spite of the difficulties having these material desires, because not until one becomes completely purified, these material desires will come and go. We've heard Bharat Maharaj, even in his Bhava Bhakti, he is not able to complete. He has to take birth 3 times more as a deer and then as Jada Bharat before he fulfilled the desired goal, which is to go back home, back to Godhead. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if you are willing to give it up and eager to give it up, then one will make further advancement. Because Krishna himself will help the devotee to get rid of these material desires. We are always dependent on Krishna for everything. On our own, it's not possible. Because we're always in the conditioned state as long as we want to fulfill material desires, but at the time when we want to give it up, then Krishna will be there to help us completely get rid of this material desires. This is the mystery of Bhakti Yoga. Not everyone who performs Bhakti Yoga immediately has this purified state. It is always mixed in the beginning. Then gradually it becomes purified, ultimately with the help of Lord Krishna. So, a devotee of the Lord constantly engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, perfect in self-realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. So this is the formula. There should be no gap. Should be always constantly, fully engaged in loving devotional service. 24 hours, Prabhupada says. One can be engaged 24 hours. Then he quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. Even in this very lifetime, even before giving up this body, one can become free. So, we study Bhagavat Gita every day. This also actually burns up the material desires that's been sitting in our hearts for many, many lifetimes. It's not yet coming out, but by reading this knowledge that Krishna is giving to Arjuna, all of the seeds becomes burnt, even before becoming fructified. With the sword of knowledge, it can be cut. It can cut all these unwanted desires within one's heart, and quickly one can be reinstated into loving devotional service towards the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada gave an example here. This different analogy whereby a devotee in Krishna consciousness, although he is very far from the Lord's abode, but his meditation is always there, ultimately he elevates himself and ultimately reaches the final destination. So how more fortunate we are, because it says in the 9th canto that if one wants to ultimately wants to go back home, back to Godhead, that one should reside in the forest, because it's easier to meditate on the Supreme Lord, and that forest is Vrindavan. Of course, Kali Yuga is very fast approaching to becoming more and more degraded. That Vrindavan forest also is not remaining as it is becoming hopefully not a jungle of cement or skyscrapers, but we have experience here in proper town of Vrindavan that people are exploiting. They have this advertisement, live like a king, luxuriously. No problem, we will build a helipad for you so that you can go to the city easier also and come to your ashram. They even use the pictures of Srila Prabhupada in their advertisement, or Radha Shama Sundar, just to entice people to reside in their so-called ashram. Because living in Vrindavan means simplicity, One doesn't need much. All you need practically is your japamala and have a few chapatis and some sabjis to eat, and you'll survive. So they're, as we mentioned earlier, they're here, but actually they're very far. But those devotees who are engaged in devotional service, we have many temples all over the world. Prabhupada says there are embassies of the spiritual world. It's like in Chanakyapuri, you have over 200 countries, embassies. And those embassies are like, if you go inside, you're not in India anymore. You are in their designated country. It's like if you go to a U.S. embassy, it's not run by Indian government. It's run by U.S. government itself. So our temples are like that. The devotees are being trained up how to develop love of God, so that by their practice, day after day after day, meditating that what I'm doing is for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, and one day I'll be also destined to go back home, back to Godhead. That is their meditation. It says, one of the verses from Vrindavan Mahimamrita, that it says that if one has a desire to go to the Vrindavan place where Lord Krishna resides along with his associates, and somehow with great difficulty is not able to come, but at the time of death he was always thinking that the place of Vrindavan, where there is free from anxiety, where Krishna resides and enjoy with loving pastimes with his devotees, he's not able to come, or not able to come to Vrindavan. Then he died thinking like that. Then he takes birth next life in Vrindavan, just like here. The fish, they're bringing their offsprings just by meditation, looking at them only. How can the fish take care of the eggs? Not possible in the water. Tortoise also at the same time, you just meditate in the egg while in the water. But they manifest to grow, and they've been taken care of by nature herself. So one can elevate oneself irregardless of where one's situated. One does not have to be in the actual place, Boma Vrindavan, because Vrindavan is within one's heart. We actually don't see Krishna through the eyes in Kali Yuga. We see Krishna through the ears, by hearing his pastimes, his glories, and especially when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One can constantly think or see Krishna when we chant purely the holy name. This is what we call Krishna consciousness. Everything in relation to Krishna is absolute. By this engagement alone, one will feel that actually he is with Krishna. And the more one advances in Krishna consciousness, he will feel separation in Krishna. The problem, that's why we're not making advancement, is we're not feeling this separation from Krishna. There is a time when one will feel so much separation from Krishna that he will not be able to hold his life. And one will be always crying because even though he already achieved Krishna consciousness, one thinks still that he does not have Krishna consciousness. When will that day come when we all come to that platform of consciousness? This is what the acharyas are explaining that we should be aspiring for. At the moment, some of us still wants to fulfill the material desires. That's why we don't make so much advancement. However, we should still continue our bhakti even though we want to fulfill our material desires. In this way, ultimately, these material desires will be taste as putrid. It's tasteless. The material desires, when it becomes fulfilled by Krishna, also fulfill these material desires. But when he knows that the devotee, by giving those material desires being fulfilled, when Krishna knows that he will fall away from becoming a devotee, Krishna will not fulfill these material desires. But for others, Krishna fulfilled these desires of the devotee, knowingly that the devotee ultimately will lose the taste from achieving or fulfilling these material desires, that he will give up these material desires and will just stick to bhakti. There are two ways. Krishna, when Krishna wants to give complete mercy to his devotee, he takes away everything. That's why his name is Hari. He takes away, one who takes away your material attachments. For others, he will fulfill the material desires, knowingly that he is a fool, and ultimately he will learn his lesson. Same equation. Ultimately, one will come to pure devotional service. But for others, it may take longer. But for others, one will reach the supreme destination in the very near future. The only difference is the time span. Ultimately, the destination will be reached. Others will be quicker. Others will take longer. Many, many lifetimes. And there was one devotee who says that you will take birth 3,000 lifetimes more before you will reach destination. And he was so happy. This in Chaitanya Leela, he was so happy. 3,000 lifetimes, he was jumping up and down. For 10 million, what is 10 million lifetimes in eternity? It's nothing. It's nothing really. The one day of Lord Brahma is for 4.32 billion years. That's one day of Lord Brahma. And that's the time, one day of Lord Brahma, Lord Krishna comes. So he came 5,000 years ago, so it'll take another so many billions of years before Lord Krishna comes. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he comes every Kali Yuga, but not every Kali Yuga Lord Chaitanya gives Braja Prem. In other Yuga, Kali Yugas, Lord Chaitanya only gives Vaikuntha Prem. So how fortunate we are. Back to back. Only 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna came in human form like as he is, and 500 years ago, giving us the medicine by which we can attain Braja Prem, Radha Krishna Prem, so easily by chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So it's up to us. What is our desire? What is our priority? What do we want to do? Isn't it? It's available. Prabhupada is so merciful. He made it so easy for us also as well. It's so complete. Right early in the morning, Mangalartik till we sleep, everyone can fully engage in Krishna consciousness. That in night time, when you sleep, you'll dream of Krishna. So 24 hours engaged. Huh? Everything possible, because Prabhupada made it so easy. Acharya is like that. According to time, place, and circumstances, he makes adjustments so that the practitioner will be able to do it accordingly and easily and attain the same result. Nowhere else. No one else can do that. Only an Acharya. So we just need to follow this process, and as we mentioned, hope against hope, we'll reach that destination. By always thinking about the destination, you'll reach that destination. Hare Krishna. Shall we stop here? Any questions?